And we are starting.
Right.
Hello, everybody. I'm here. One of my guests is Mr. Will Antolin, a hard money lender. We met a couple weeks ago via social media. Somehow we connected on a couple calls, and I asked him if he could come join me for a quick talk about what he does as far as being a hard money lender, how that would work within what I do as a real estate investor, and try to put myself in that position where I am a seasoned investor. I haven't used the hard money lending yet, but to where you may help somebody out there as well as myself understand what all hard money lending is all about. With no further ado, Mr. Edwil, thank you for joining me, and tell us about what you're doing right now.
Hi, George. Thank you, first of all, for having me and being able to introduce me to your group. It's an opportunity to serve a lot more people because I've been reaching out to people one on one, but being on a podcast and being able to talk to your clients, this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to use technology to help a lot more people all at one time. My name is Edwil Antolin. I'm also a real estate investor. George mentioned that I'm a hard money lender, hard money broker actually, and I'll explain the difference here in a minute. I'm also an investor, so I know what investors go through and I know what they look for when it comes to hard money. First of all, the difference between a hard money lender and a hard money broker. A lender basically has a set of rules that or guidelines that they use in order to qualify people. The good news about being a hard money broker is I'm able to access a bunch of these lenders who have different sets of rules. One lender, for example, will only loan if you have a 660 credit score, whereas another lender wouldn't mind if you have a 550 credit score. There are some lenders who will loan only if you have more than two rehabs, whereas other lenders will lend if you have none at all. And so being a hard money broker allows you to access. So because every client is different, every client has their own situation, every property has their own situation. And by being able to take somebody's situation, like let's say, for example, George, you're buying a single family residence and you have a certain credit score, I can then take your criteria as well as the properties and find a lender that will fit that. I guess the easiest example is, let's say you're looking for a car, and if you go to a Ford dealership, for example, all you'll see are Fords, right?
Yes.
Whereas if you go to a car broker, you could tell me what you're looking for, and I can find that in a Ford, in a Chevy, in a BMW, or a Mercedes Benz.
Nice.
You have that flexibility.
That sounds good, man. Thank you for breaking that down, Edwil.
You're welcome, George. And you also mentioned about the difference between private money and hard money. The big difference there is usually private money comes from individuals, retired lawyers or doctors or surgeons who have $200,000-$300,000 in the bank that would like to use it and use it to work harder, right? Basically, private individuals. Hard money lenders are typically institutionalized or basically companies that have money to lend. So they're like your Bank of America. They're basically banks. And so the advantage of private money is usually, a guy will just write the check, right? Okay. George, you need $200,000 for the rehab and the purchase here. I know you, I trust you, and you've done work with me before. Here's 200 grand, writes or wires you the money.
Got it.
Whereas a hard money lender will ask you to gather a lot more paperwork. An appraisal will be done on the property. So there's a lot more hoops to jump through. The disadvantage of a private money lender is, and I've seen this happen, when it's ready, when it's time to close, because again, this is an individual. An individual has a life. Things happen in somebody's life. You might say, George, I know I promised you 200,000, but my daughter didn't realize it, but she's got a wedding and I need to fund that wedding.
Right.
Or my son just graduated from Stanford. I promised him he'd go to Europe. I gave him the money. And I've seen it happen at the last minute.
Wow.
The individual pulls out. Whereas an institution, it's typically when you're ready to fund, you push the button and the funds are wired. So that's the big difference between private money and hard money. And unfortunately, in the industry, a lot of people mix the two together. They sometimes, when they mean hard money, they use the word private money.
Gotcha. And well, thank you for breaking that down. And like I said, for right now, I'm not at that level yet. I'm I'm basically learning the steps of an investor, like first wholesaling,
Mhm.
becoming the quote unquote middleman, finding the deals for the buyers, and then it's up to the
Yes.
buyer to link up with somebody like yourself, or like you said, a private money lender at that point, and they have established that credibility with you, whether it's through their credit score or because they're bringing you business, and they're
Yes.
more reliable to complete their end of the bargain.
Absolutely. And George, I can also help. I can also offer my services to wholesalers like yourself, not
Okay.
necessarily just end buyers. For example, if you have a property that's locked up, for example, and you're looking for end buyers, and one of your end buyers says, George, I would love to do that. Gosh, I wish I could, but I don't have the 10% or 15% down payment.
Mm.
That's where I could come in and you could say, you know what, why don't you talk to Edwil? Because we do have, for example, we do have programs that'll allow up to 100% financing
Oh
of the
wow.
property. It'll give you the money to acquire the property, and on top of that, it'll give you the money to rehab the property as well. So
Nice.
basically, you're going in there with no money down. However, it is a tough loan to get because of
Okay.
100%, because there's a lot of the risk is basically borne by the lender.
Right.
So
True.
it's a not everyone will fit that box, and I
Right.
have to say up front, there's some certain criteria, and also they only do it in 23 states. So we have to figure out what state the property is in. We have to figure out the borrower's credit score. They will ask for tax returns. They will ask for bank statements. They will ask for a lot. But if you
Gotcha.
can fit that mold, if you can fit through that box, being able to leverage 100% is a great thing.
It's a killer deal.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. That's how I can help you as a wholesaler there, Mr. George.
And for the
Yeah.
few people that are watching, or the many, is Texas one of them that offer the 100%? Would you know on top of your head?
Texas is one of them. Yes, sir. That's correct. Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Oh,
Texas is
nice.
one of them.
Oh,
Yes, yes,
gotcha.
yes, yes. And then just call me because or email me, text me, because these lenders, they change regulations,
Right.
and so it's as of today, Texas is one of those states.
Man, sounds interesting. And
Mhm.
just curious, Edwil, how long have you been in this? Like I say, you've been are you both investor and hard money at the same time, or you just switch hats depending on the situation you're facing? Or tell me
Yes.
more about that if you don't
Yes,
mind.
yes, sir. My wife and I, we started our real estate journey in 2019, and we had a business partner back in 2019. We went straight. We skipped the wholesaling part only because we had somebody that had the money to for the down payment and closing costs and all that stuff. And we started in 2019. We flipped a few houses
Okay.
out of state mostly
Nice.
because it's hard in California. As a
Right.
newbie investor, if you make a mistake in California,
Ooh.
we're here by the Napa area, and
Mm-hmm.
if you make a mistake with a big purchase, it could set you back a lot of years. We decided to go out to the Midwest and
Nice.
start there, where homes can be bought for $100,000, $80,000, that sort of thing. It'd be decent homes. And if you make a mistake on an $80,000 home versus on an $800,000 home here in
Yeah.
Napa, the Napa area, it could mean your career. We started small, and
Gotcha.
so in the meantime, while I also started. I had a skill as a mortgage lender because I used to work for Wells Fargo
Okay.
and doing retail lending. In other words, the type of loans that you would get when you want to move into a home.
Right.
And so I just took those skills and hooked up with a hard money broker here, not here, but they're based in Ohio. It's
Okay.
called Rapid Funding Solution. That's the company I'm
Gotcha.
with right now.
Well, this may be off topic, Edwil, but
Sure.
as far as I am, and I'm sure I'm not sure how versed you are in the sub too. I have run into a situation where, because of the current mortgage rates, sometimes the seller that is a veteran, he obviously can't sell because he's trying to use his a VA entitlement. Do you know anything about that, or would you happen to know if they can use basically buy two properties with the same VA loan, or is that a separate deal?
You know what, George? I don't know the answer to that. I don't
Hmm.
know the answer to that. VA has what they call their entitlement or eligibility.
Right.
And yeah, as far as I know, you can only use it one home at a time.
Okay.
But I don't know, and I've heard of it bounced around in the sub two circles about VA eligibility,
Right.
but I don't know the answer to that.
No problem. Appreciate you. Just seeing if you knew about that as far as a lender, because I know it's depending on the person's situation, and if they're a veteran, obviously they get a couple more benefits with eligibility,
Yes.
and just something I ran into. But Well, shoot, you said before hard money lending and jumping into the real estate investing world, you
Mhm.
were basically a mortgage lender or dealing with
Yes, I was a
money,
loan officer
loan officer.
for Wells Fargo, and then after that, I also did I did some time work for a nonprofit organization, helping people find jobs, which was nice.
Oh,
And
sweet.
then I decided it was time to start moving into real estate, which was really what I want to do. In the end, George, and I'm sure this is probably your goal as well,
Mm-hmm.
as well as all of us who are listening in at some point, is real estate will provide us that passive income, the type of
Right.
income that will that will provide us money whether we're working or not. That's
True.
everyone's dream, I think, and that's mine as well. I'm
Oh,
just on the road to doing that.
gotcha. And just curious, Edwin, and I appreciate you sharing that. As far
Hmm.
as when you do, I'm pretty sure you're still investing at this time. But do
Hmm.
you happen to use your own services as far as a hard money lender and in those situations, or?
Yes, yes, I will, and I say I will because I when I did this latest project that we have in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
I did not use my own. I wasn't lending at the time. Yeah,
Okay,
with Rapid Funding Solutions, I was with another company, and I wanted to use another. And that company was a see. This is a perfect example. That company that I was with was a direct lender,
okay,
and they did not have the type of program that I needed in order to purchase this property in North Carolina. But now that I'm a broker, I have all these options, so I could have definitely used my own services, but I
nice,
didn't
nice.
at the time. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I'm sure it's a learning experience, and it got you way farther each time. And as far as farther, it will obviously you're providing your hard money lending services. Where do
Mhm.
you see yourself like in maybe 10 years from now, or maybe five? What is your?
Gosh, 5 years from now, I hope to be doing my own podcast wearing a hat like yours.
Oh man, that's sweet. Love it, love it.
No, I'm kidding, George. 5 years from now, I'm 58, so I'll be 63 by that time. I hope to be, just earning passive income and
Okay,
spending my time with my family.
gotcha,
Yeah, doing having a, waking up in the morning and having an empty slate of things to do. You know,
gotcha.
yeah,
Like
but just fill it in with family stuff, family and church. That's really the goal, and I think that real estate will provide us that one way.
man, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love that you mentioned church because I think for myself, kind of figuring stuff out the first 2 years, I tell people like, man, it's making that step outside of the W-2 into this world.
Hmm.
It's so relatable to faith, to where you can't worry about tomorrow, you can't worry about next year. It's just going straight forward and being able to be humble enough to not know everything, and the right people aligning themselves with you, and learning and growing, like I say, being aligned with people like yourself, to where I may not need you right now, but somebody may need you. It's like, you can Edwil, I think he may be able to help you and just connect you, and learning that
Yeah.
this is about community at the end of the day. And first, keeping God in your life and learning how to be that servant leader, like they call it, like being a servant to God, and being a servant to your wife, to your kids, and then your community as well.
I'm glad you brought that up, George. Yeah, because definitely that's how we should. That's how we should approach our business, and I hope that more people approach it that way as well. And I
Mhm.
know in the sub two community, it's huge,
Yes.
and you hear that a lot. There are a lot of go givers. You are a big example of a go giver there, George.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
No, you certainly are. So, no, definitely, I'm so glad to be part of this community, and I'm grateful that you and I somehow our paths crossed. I can't remember how we did, but how our paths crossed. But
Right.
definitely, this is a relationship that we will that's a keeper for sure.
For sure, for sure. Because I like the fact that you said that does happen sometimes when, say, you do use that private money lender, and like say something happens. Oh, I gotta take my kids to a vacation or something. And sorry, George. Like, oh crap, what I do now?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. No,
and it's
I,
good to
I,
have
I was
many
just
lenders.
talking to
Yeah.
and the reason I can say that is I talked to a customer who at the very end at the signing, she
Mm.
said that her private money lender said no, she needed the money, and yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
cool.
So,
And just curious, well,
mhm.
I don't know. This other question comes with what the current market is saying. Like, last time I checked, it was around 7.5 or 8%. The interest rate. How does that affect the hard money loans that or does that change as those rates change
Yes,
as
sir.
well?
The hard money rates change not as often as the retail rates change,
Hmm.
but they do change, and it also depends on a number of factors. It'll depend on your credit score. It'll depend on the loan amount you're trying to borrow. So those are the two main determinants of what your credit score of what your interest rate is going to be.
Okay, that makes
Hmm.
sense.
But the thing about hard money loans is it's not like your typical loan where you go to borrow money for the house you're going to be living in. An investment property loan is typically just a lot of it is based on the property itself and
True.
what you're going to do with it.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, that's interesting, Edwil. And as far as in investing, are you currently looking for property to acquire at this moment?
At this moment, this project of ours in North Carolina is basically taking all of our attention and our funds.
Oh
But
wow.
certainly, once that is over,
Hmm.
once that is over, then we will go on to the next property because
Okay.
eventually I'm going to want to have a number of projects going on at once. That's the goal, George. That's the goal.
Okay. Well, hopefully by then I'll be a little bit bigger, not in size, but in outreach to where maybe I can find you a couple properties to wherever you plan to market at next.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And actually, I'm hoping to go to the Baltimore, Maryland area because I have boots on the ground. And just as a word of advice to all of us who are going to invest out of state, I cannot stress enough how important it is to trust and know the people that your boots on the ground because they're the ones that are there. So it's very, very important that you get to know them and that and
Okay.
trust them as well.
True, true. That's a lot of trust and learning that teamwork thing. Kind of, knowing that you don't have to know everything yourself, but it's
Yes.
like reaching out to the people that do know are relatable to you or have the same morals, to where they can be like your shadow, to where you don't have to
Yeah.
do the whole micromanaging. Like, George, what are you doing? Are you doing it
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Like, man,
Yeah.
get on. You don't trust me or what? And then
Yeah.
learning how to give that leadership to other people.
No, absolutely. Because yeah, for example, with us, with another property in St. Louis, I mean, St. Louis is what 1,000 miles away from California, so
Hmm.
you really have to know and trust the people you work with.
Okay.
Yeah, and George, reach out to me anytime. Whether it's with hard money or just talking investing. I'm always learning something from you. I think we've only been on the phone 2 or 3 times, but each
Right.
time I always pick up some sort of nugget from you. So
Oh,
you're very helpful. Yeah,
thank you,
if I could
thank
call
you.
you every day, I would. Believe me, because
Yeah, man.
I know I'll pick up something every day.
Love it, love it. Yeah, and then maybe like say in person, being that you told me you have a Filipino background, I
Mhm.
kind of dabbled a little bit with the types of foods in your culture, the lumpias and other things. One
You're
of my
making me
best
hungry
friends.
now, George. It's almost 11:30. You're making me hungry.
Oh man, but well, I think we pretty much covered everything. But in case anybody's interested, or they may, obviously you say you cover about 23 states. You said, or
No, this one particular lender covers 23 states with the specific program that I mentioned to you, the
oh,
100%
okay.
financing. Yeah, it's not available in every state, but
Mhm.
I basically cover all 50 because if one lender doesn't cover that state, another one will.
Okay. Well, what I'll do once I finish editing this, Edwil, I'll put your contact information. If anybody wants to reach out to you, they can either reach out to you via email and get connected with you and see, if you guys can work together or provide that assistance or at least what you can offer, and if it fits their criteria as
Yeah, that'd
well.
be great. I appreciate that, George. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to serve a lot of people. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you, my man, and you go ahead and get to eating, and you can think of me when you're eating that delicious scrumptious.
Well, you mentioned lumpia, so I'll definitely go with some Filipino food here in a few minutes.
There you
Yep.
go. All right. Well, yeah, guys. Say if you need any hard money loans or anything like that, or see if Edwil has good programs for you, feel free to reach out to him. I'll put the information in the description. And thank you again for watching this, and hopefully it provided some value to you guys. And yeah, just hopefully maybe what's that phrase they say on YouTube? Subscribe and hit the like button. Maybe I'll get some lumpia after that. All right, Ed.
All right, George. Bye, everyone. Take care.
All right.